Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is you're watching this. Hopefully you're having a good day. Nice Memorial Day weekend. I'm hosting this one, pre-recording it for this lesson because it is Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people are traveling. So I thought I'd make it easy for everybody and do this lesson, which is very digital, computer-based anyways, all online. Some people are listening in, but otherwise most people will probably be watching this at a later date when I post it to the online class website. So last time we talked about hiking and just essentially hiking 101. We talked about the 10 essentials. We talked about John Muir. We talked about getting out there and conservation efforts and all that. So today we're going to focus a little more on something specific, which is you planning the hike that you want to take. So essentially at the end of this lesson, I want you to be able to use digital tools or non-digital tools and plan a hike and set your goals, realistic goals for yourself for this year or for life, honestly. So let's put it this way. Next week, my father is coming into town, and my father does not move very well. He's slowed down due to a medical condition he had a couple of years ago, and he can't really walk very fast. His leg muscles are pretty weak. So he said he wanted to go for a hike. He wanted to go outside, do some fun things. So I would have to ask myself, well, what are the limitations here? My father can't really do what I can do. He can't go hike up a 25,000 foot gain for 6 miles. You know, he needs something that's flat, easy, and fun, of course, because that's what's the most important part, is we're having fun. So these days, you could use the internet, you could use books, and I'm going to show you guys a tool that's really readily available and really easy to use that I'm going to use today. But before we do that, I just want to take about 10-15 minutes. I want you to, in the 10-15 minutes, I want you to write down 2 things. I want you to write about what ideally would be like the perfect hike. Like, where would it be? Would it be in a desert? Would it be in the forest? Would it be on the coast? Or it can be anywhere. And then I want you to ask yourself, what limitations do you find yourself feeling when it comes to this, when it comes to hiking? Because you need to be realistic about your limitations. My father's limitations, for example, is his legs are not very strong. He could not go, say, hike Mount Pilchuck or something like that. That would be physically impossible for him. However, using some good tools online that I'm going to show you today, he can find the perfect hike for him. So just take some time, 10 some minutes, write it down, or record it in any way you desire, and just kind of reflect about, ideal hike. What do you think your limitations are as a hiker? So now that we had some time to write down our responses, let's take a quick look, see if anybody wrote anything into the Zoom. Brian wrote, my ideal hike would be somewhere near the water, somewhere near the coast, with a nice mix of a beach or a forest type trail. I need something with dirt or sand, as my foot, which I broke last summer, is still somewhat painful. That is my biggest limitation as it stands. My foot hurts a lot when I walk long distances, and I'd really like to find a nice, short, easy hike that I can go on with my dog. Well, it seems pretty clear cut, and like I was saying with my father earlier, physical injuries tends to be a very common limitation that we have ourselves in when it comes to hiking. You need to understand if you have a bad knee, or bad back, or bad anything, the impact that might have while you're out hiking. Teresa says that she's gone hiking a lot, and she really loves it, and she tries to use it to help herself stay in shape. Her biggest limitation, she says, is that her 2 children are not very interested. She says she has a difficult time making them want to go hiking, and they usually say that they find it very boring. And that's an interesting limitation. That's certainly one that should be expected. I mean, kids, you can only capture their attention for such a long time. Something like that, I would probably say a short hike with a good chance of seeing wildlife or natural wonders would probably be the best for kids. Waterfalls are definitely coming to mind. So that being said, um, so without further ado, I'm going to segue us to talk about the Washington Trails Association, which is the website whose tool I will be showing you all today. So the Washington Trails Association has been around since 1966. Its primary goal is to conserve Washington's very large treasure trove of natural wonders, mostly via trails. They do these things called volunteer trail parties, which I have done one, where you work on a trail. You volunteer a day of your time to go work on a trail, usually older trails that have kind of fallen to neglect, and you kind of spruce them up, repair them, clean them up, clean up any garbage, kind of make the trails look nice again. And so the hope is that with all this conservation efforts, more people can enjoy the outdoors in Washington. So it is a good group. You can join as a member. I'm a member currently. There's some benefits to it. They also run camps, usually with youth outreach camps. Then they have and other volunteer opportunities that are made available via the WTA. Having access to trails is really important for me. Physically, it's a good exercise. Emotionally, helps me clear my head.
That sense of adventure, exploration, a little bit of fear of the unknown, pushing your boundaries, and then that sense of wonder when you come around a corner and a vista's in front of you and you go, oh, I didn't know there was that waterfall there. I didn't know we could see that lake or that mountain. To me, that is absolutely the perfect day. I had misplaced my hiking book and I went online and I was searching for close hikes with kids and I found the Hike Finder, and that's how I found Washington Trails Association. You realize, okay, they're giving me all this really valuable information about the distance and the elevation.
I'm looking for new hikes that I might like to do, or hikes that I haven't done in a long time and I want to find out about current trail conditions. It's really great to get me out there.
Being able to, any time of year, look at people's trip reports and find, oh, it's winter, and yet people are going out and exploring this area, that area, getting out year-round.
They're also really important to our advocacy program. A trip report that says that a trail is disappearing can lead to an advocacy movement that says, hey, we need to reopen this trail because people are losing access to this giant part of Washington that is their public lands and they want to be able to recreate on.
Washington Trails does a good job of keeping trails clean and accessible and helping people get to the trails, whether it's through volunteer work parties or youth programs or any number of things that helps people break down whatever barriers that they have to get out.
I decided to sign up for a 1-week volunteer trail vacation and it was amazing. I saw the results, we had worked on a set of rocks that had fallen through, and within a half a day we had cleared it and remade a trail, and I saw the power of a group of people working together, and that was pretty incredible.
The trails in Washington don't always look beautiful and well maintained without other hikers and other volunteers keeping them that way.
The beauty that's around us is there because of the past generations and the work that people have done working together.
WTA harnesses the power of all of these thousands of volunteers every year and helps improve trails all over Washington State. It's so empowering and incredible. It really connects them to the trails that they love.
Join Washington Trails Association and help us protect trails for the next generation.
So for the sake of ease, because I know everybody's watching this somewhere else, I decided to just cut to just a quick screen sharing option here. So just to make it easier for you all to use the WTA. So the website is pretty simple, very user-friendly. I'm already logged in. Let me just log out. I would highly recommend that everybody sign up with an account with the Washington Trails Association. That is not the same thing as being a member. It's just signing up to use the website to the fullest. You can save things in My Backpack, like certain hikes, hikes you've already done. And then you can also write a comprehensive report about the hike at the end. And those are really useful, and we'll get into that. So let's talk about the Finder map. That's what I've been bringing us all here for. So the Finder map, it's pretty brand new. They recently redid it, and right as it stands, these are all the hikes in the state of Washington, and obviously there's a lot. So the nice thing about this is that you can customize it. So trail features, we were talking about what do you like. So, earlier someone said, oh, I really like the coast. So, you could do the coast with some mountain views, and it's dog friendly. Let's see what you get. Not bad. That was just with those 3 settings. But what about mileage and elevation? Obviously, you not want to do a hike that's almost 25 miles. Let's be a little more nice. Let's do 4, and then say an elevation gain of about 1,000, which is pretty simple. So see, okay, and that kind of narrows it down for you. So you can zoom in, decide on the hike. Oh, Fort Abbey State Park, pretty well-known one. And then, yeah, you can click on it and learn all about it. So when you click on this, they'll give you all the information that you need. The gain, the highest point, the length, and then also important is the parking pass entry fee, which will tell you what you're going to need to park there. That's very important. And then they'll usually give you a nice, good description of what to expect. If you're someone who's afraid about getting lost and you feel like that they don't have a good map, I would recommend reading these or printing them out and saving them with you before you go on the hike. It's a nice way to just kind of make sure everything's going right. And then the driving directions, I will say this, they're usually pretty solid. I would really listen to them. Sometimes Google Maps, for whatever reason, will send you to the wrong place. Say if you put in like so-and-so trailhead, sometimes for whatever reason, Google Maps will send you somewhere else. And it's really frustrating. So I would recommend listening to what they say. And then down here is really important. These are the trip reports. You don't have to write them if you're using this website frequently, but some people do, and I think they're important because it's a good way for you to know. So say this is on May 12th, good way for you to know how things are there. You can find out if the trails are muddy, if they're full of snow still, if the parking lot is a mess. So it's really important, and it's a good resource to use if you want to find out if the trail that you are going to go to the next day is going to be good or even not good. So I'm going to ask everybody again, take 10 15 minutes, kind of play around with the tool, find based on your reflection and about your limitations, find one that you think fits the bill perfectly. So I'll give everybody a little bit. Now that we've had some time to kind of play around with the tool and the map, I asked a couple people if maybe they would share what they found, and Teresa shared Gold Creek Pond. This kind of fit in with her for her concerns with her children. It's a 1 mile hike, and it puts you right in the middle of a really nice lake. It is a really nice pond. I've been there before. It's got wildflowers. It's got plenty of wildlife. It makes perfect sense for Teresa. So she picked a really good one. That's probably going to really, and yeah, don't forget the Northwest Forest Pass. But so yeah, that makes a lot of sense for kids. Got to take them outside somewhere short, and it's nice. It's even something you can do as just a small picnic. It's a really nice time. Brian, because of his foot, picked Fort Flagler State Park. It's only about 150 feet in gain, but it's a 5 mile round trip, so it's pretty flat, steady, easy going, right near the water, which would be fun for him and his dog. And he also tells me that he's a bit of a history buff, and seeing that this is a former military outpost of the U.S. Army dating back a long time, this is obviously a little added bonus for him. So that was a really good job for picking out how to take it. I was thinking also for us as the class, I remember in our last class we talked about a hypothetical group hike at the end of our sessions. And so uh, when we spoke about that, everybody seemed to agree that waterfalls were a must. And so let's just use that. So let's do waterfalls. Because we have a bit of a group, let's, challenge ourselves a little bit. 6 miles is not that bad. And then about 1,000 feet of elevation gain. Really narrows it down, and that's good. You want it to narrow down. And perfect. Twin Falls is a great hike. And so it was just that easy for us to find a really well-rated hike. It's got 165 boats, only 500 feet of gain, but the highest point is about 1,000 feet, and there's a 2.6-mile round trip. So, I mean, it's pretty simple. So, yeah, and then you find out all the information that you need and where it is and the driving directions. So it's really that simple to use the tool to find the perfect hike for you, whatever you're feeling. So let's take a couple steps back and talk about how I want you to use this and apply it to an assignment that will help you plan for the perfect hike. So to wrap things up for us today, I just want to talk about what I hope you can get out of this tool, which is going to be related to the assignment that I'm going to leave you all with. So we talked about how to use the tool. I showed you how. Y'all got to play around with it a little bit. So what I want you to kind of do is with this, I want you to make a comprehensive hiking goal plan. So, think about what you wrote in your initial reflection and then try to relate that back to actual hikes. So I want you to kind of get in your mind about setting goals for yourself about what you are hoping to accomplish when you're going outside. So, for example, I just whipped this up. My hiking goal is to hike every fire lookout trail in Washington State. I've done 2 so far, the Fremont Lookout and Mount Pilchuck. And so what I'd like you to include is the hurdles that you might face with your goal. For mine, the Oregon Butte Lookout is way out there, and I don't know if I'm ever going to be out in that area. And then the other thing is that for a lot of these fire lookouts, which were built atop tall mountains to prevent forest fires and spot them before they got too out of control, they are put in very high places. There's one, I believe, that's about 4,500 feet with very little shade, which is kind of a combo that's not good, especially in the summer. So yeah, that's some hurdles that you're gonna have to face. And then you should also talk about what other goals are you trying to get out of it. Not just, I want to see this. It's also, are you trying to get into better shape? Are you trying to use the 10 essentials and the other skills that you've learned about into a better capacity? And then, look and find exciting plant and animals around the trails. I mean, a lot of people, that's a big draw for them. They want to see animals. They want to see the wildflowers when they bloom every summer. It's really nice. So, yeah. So go home and you can use the WTA, the Hike Finder map, which we showed today. But I need to stress that if you are not super comfortable using an online service or a digital service, that your library will have a plethora of really solid hiking planner books. I mean, they have a lot of the same information that the Hike Finder does. They just don't have them all in one. So if you want to use the book and use that as a resource, yes, go ahead. And if you want to make your plan in any format, I just put mine in a Word document because it was easy. If you want to do for YouTube, you want to do a slideshow, you can format it in any way you please. And then, I also don't want you to limit yourselves. Don't make this for 2018. 2018 is already almost 6 months through, believe it or not. And so I feel like if you just say, oh, this is what I'm going to try to do for 2018, you're just going to kind of, put yourself in a corner that's, oh, it's December and I haven't done a single thing. And then you're just going to feel crummy. So I would suggest that these goals are kind of, they're go on forever. I mean, you could try to do this in your lifetime And if you can do it within the year, that's great. But I think we need to be a little realistic about how we use our time. So now that you have the tool at your disposal, just kind of craft together a nice goal plan. And when we meet again, we'll discuss it more in depth, and then we'll talk about the more technical aspects of hiking that we have not covered yet. Thank you all for watching this, and I'll see you all later.